One of the most important characteristics of a CHW is self-awareness, the ability to understand thyself, the ability to recognize and understand your own emotions, thoughts, values, and behaviors, and how they affect your interactions with others. It involves understanding personal strength and limitations, recognizing biases and how they influence decision making, managing emotions in professional settings, as well as adapting communication styles to different individuals and situations. There are two types of self awareness, there's internal self awareness and external self awareness. The internal self awareness is understanding your own emotions and values, motivations, and triggers, and really understanding your own personal biases and how they truly affect your work. Also, it calls you to reflect on your life experiences because your life experiences are what shape your views and reaction to things. Um, this this internal self awareness is something that is important so that we can avoid unconscious biases. Sometimes we are biased and we don't even realize that we are biased towards someone. At a CHW, you're going to be giving advice to people, and you want to make sure that your advice is in the client's best interest and not based on your own personal interests and thoughts and ideas about things. The other one is external self awareness, and this is understanding how others perceive you. Oftentimes, we just act and we don't think about how are my actions or my behaviors impacting others, or how are others perceiving my actions, because intent and impact are two different things. You may intend one thing, but the impact, what other people see, may be something completely different. So we need to be aware of that. And so external self-awareness has to deal with recognizing how your words, body language, and actions impacts clients and colleagues. And we need to be aware of how that is, because and if something we are doing or saying, even though we don't intend it to sound a certain way, may come off a certain way. And therefore, it's up to us to adjust our behavior to improve those relationships and communication. And this is critical because at the end of the day, CHWs need to be trusted by those who they are trying to help. And if you are coming off some type of way, you may be perceived as someone who is untrustworthy, and the rapport that you are trying to build with the client may diminish. So, for internal self awareness, understanding yourself to improve services, um, we need to be able to recognize our personal biases. So every individual has an implicit bias shaped by their upbringing, culture, and experience. Without self awareness, these biases can unconsciously affect how CHWs interact with clients and make assumptions about their needs. For example, a CHW may assume an older adult isn't interested in learning about digital health, but in reality, many seniors use technology daily. And we also need to understand emotional triggers, right? We all have certain triggers that we know if we experience something is going to make us feel a certain way. So understanding emotional triggers. CHWs often work with vulnerable populations and may encounter emotionally challenging situations. And being aware of personal triggers helps CHW remain calm and professional, preventing emotional reactions that could that could harm clients' trust. So, for example, a CHW who has personally experienced housing insecurities may feel emotionally invested when working with unhoused clients. Self awareness helps balance the empathy with those professional boundaries. Also, too, for internal self awareness, we need to be able to reflect on our life experiences that shape our decision making. So, CHWs may relate to clients because of shared experiences. While shared experiences can help build trust, unchecked personal experiences can lead to assumptions instead of truly listening to clients' unique perspectives. So, for example, a CHW who successfully managed diabetes through diet and exercise may assume all clients can do the same without considering social determinants of health like food deserts or financial constraints. Just because a solution worked for you does not mean that solution is going to work for your client. We also need to be aware of or need to align values with CHW ethics. So self-awareness allows CHW to align their personal values with professional ethics. This ensures that their work is guided by equity, non-discrimination, and respect for all clients, regardless of personal opinion. So, for example, a CHW with strong religious beliefs must ensure they respect the rights of clients with different faiths or belief system. We cannot impose what we believe and our values on other people. For external self-awareness, one of the big important thing is understanding how others perceive us, right? So external awareness is about understanding how your words, your tone, and body language influences other people. One of the important things about it is building trust with clients and communities. So many CHWs work with populations who have historically faced discrimination or healthcare disparities. So being aware of how you present yourself can help reduce mistrust and fear. Sometimes we make assumptions about communities, or that community has dealt with someone who looks like us or acts like us and may be triggered. So we need to be aware of that, and we may need to take it easy in the beginning to build that trust. So, for example, if a CHW speaks in a rush or dismissive tone, a client may feel unheard or disrespected, reducing engagement and care. We also need to ensure clear and respectful communication. So clients may interpret facial expressions, tones, and body language differently based on their cultural background. So in your culture, you laughing or joking or smiling at certain things may be appropriate, but for someone else, they may perceive that as you belittling them or not really taking them serious. So CHWs need to be able to adjust their communication styles to ensure clarity and respect. An example is that in some cultures, direct eye contact is seen as respectful, while in others, it may be considered aggressive or disrespectful. We also need to recognize the power dynamics in CHW client relationships. So CHWs, though often peers to the community, so you may be working with someone who you have a close connection with or similar age, background, etc. But at the end of the day, you are a professional in that space. You are a representative in that space. We need to make sure that we are approachable, supportive, and non intimidating. So, for example, a CHW who dominates a conversation or corrects clients frequently may come across as authoritative rather than collaborative. Also, too, strengthening team collaboration. So, external self awareness is also important in multidisciplinary teams. Recognizing how colleagues perceive your input helps CHW communicate effectively and advocate for clients' needs. So, for example, if a CHW interprets medical providers and interrupts medical providers in meetings, they may be seen as disruptive rather than as a valuable team member. Instead, clear, concise, respectful communication helps CHW contribute meaningfully. So remember, you have to understand the hierarchy or structure of the team that you are in. You have to make sure that everybody gets the opportunity to hold the mic. Sometimes that means, you're in an hour-long meeting. You may only have about 5 or 10 minutes to speak, if that. So you make sure that when you do get an opportunity to speak, your voice is clear, concise, or your message is clear, concise, and respectful. The importance of self-awareness in CHW work. So we want to think about, like, why does it matter, right? Why does self-awareness truly matter for CHWs? And the number one things is it improves relationships. It improves relationships with the client. It improves relationships with the colleagues. It also reduces burnout by identifying emotional and mental triggers. Oftentimes you may be dealing with a client that is experiencing something that you have experienced before, and that may be triggering. So every time you deal with that client, it's draining because not only are you trying to assist the client, but you are also dealing with your own emotions at the exact same time. So if we are aware of that, we are able to face that trigger and recognize that it does have much power over us. Also, too, it enhances cultural humility and reduces biases. So, very much being aware of your own biases, so that you are allowing other people and your clients to express themselves. Also increases emotional intelligence, leading to better conflict resolution. It also builds trust and credibility within communities. Self-awareness and personal-centered care. So CHWs provide person-centered care, which means tailoring services to the unique needs, values, and beliefs of each individual. And this really requires an awareness of your own values to avoid imposing them on clients. So every client is going to have their unique set of values and beliefs. Even if you share the same spiritual belief, even if you share the same background, you need to make sure that you are tailoring your solutions to the client specifically. And we cannot generalize everyone. We need to be specific to the client. So it's person-centered care. And so we also need to recognize our prejudice and working to challenge them. So sometimes you may say, why did I say that? And you really need to try to understand yourself, well, why? So the next time this comes around, it does not happen again. And we also need to understand our lived experiences. So shape your perspective. We need to understand that lived experiences shape our perspectives, but they may not reflect the experience of those you serve. So, for example, a CHW who strongly values traditional medicine may unconsciously promote it over Western medical treatment. However, being self aware allows them to offer unbiased health education and respect clients' choices. So, even though you have a personal belief and something may work for you, you also need to be aware of your professional responsibility. Your professional responsibility is not to push your own personal beliefs, but to pass on the appropriate treatment plan at that time. And believe it or not, self-awareness is a lifelong process. It doesn't just happen overnight. It's not something that you do one time and it's over. We have to continually reflect on our life journey. We have to continue to learn and continue to practice reflection as well as growth. And some of the factors that influence self-awareness include life experience, personal values and belief, prejudices and biases, as well as professional experience. And the role of self-evaluation, so regular self-evaluation helps CHWs to identify personal strength and areas for improvement and recognize emotional responses and triggers in challenging situation. It really helps to develop, it really helps to handle stress and ethical dilemmas as well. And then when it comes to self-awareness and ethical CHW practices, what it does is it helps to identify conflicts of interest and maintain professional boundaries. It encourages CHW to address personal biases that could affect their client and improves decision-making when facing ethical dilemmas. And so when we think about self-awareness and cultural humility, recognizing your own cultural background and how it shapes your worldview, being open to learning from others without assumption or assuming expertise, and also value clients' perspective and live experiences. So, for example, a CHW working with an immigrant community may need to challenge their assumption about healthcare access and be open to different cultural approaches to wellness. Would also assist in multi-disciplinary teams. So it really helps CHW collaborate effectively and respectfully, and also helps promotes role clarity, ensuring CHW stay within their scope of practice. In the team setting, a CHW, for example, in a team setting, a CHW working in a hospital knows as they feel intimidated by doctors and avoid speaking up in team meetings. Through self-awareness, they can acknowledge that, you know what, they do feel discomfort when in a meeting with the doctor, and that is okay. But then we need to reflect on the importance of their role and advocating for clients and utilize that as a motivation to be what we call more assertive. So practicing assertive communication, because you're not there for yourself, you're there to advocate for clients, and your clients will not be advocated for unless you get out of what we call imposter syndrome, right? The belief that we don't really belong in this space. So we have to become more assertive in our communication. So confidently sharing insights and concerns. So assertive communication is a way of expressing your point of view in a way that is clear and direct without being aggressive or passive.